everyone. Welcome back to Underreported Stories, where I cover the news that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News fail to report on or don't report on enough. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. I was very, very pumped for college football to be back. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I'm a huge Michigan State fan. Before the whole Larry Nassar, college sexual assault scandals, all that stuff. Been a fan of them since before that. So, we just kind of have to roll with the punches. But yeah, it was a nice weekend watching football, getting back in my green. I made guac for my fiance and I, and it was just like, we lit the whole place up green. It was so fun. And we got to watch, other games with our friends too. But I say all of that to say, it was so fascinating to watch the political aspect of football this weekend because I have to watch my team on the Big Ten network because we suck balls. So we're not on any of the big networks this year. We're just on Big Ten. And the political ads on there were actually super interesting. So I just saw a ton of Republican ads and they clearly were outspending Democrats. And all the ads were going super hard against Kamala. There was one ad that kept playing probably at least 3 times, I would say. And it was just Kamala Harris talking about how expensive everything is, coupled with other videos stitched together of her saying, Bidenomics is working. It was just political ad genius. It was all over the Big Ten network. So remember, those are big swing states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, okay? So it was really good. And I liked that they kept hammering the message that Kamala is an incumbent because that gets so lost in like the vibe of American politics. So ads like the one that was playing on Big Ten that tie her to Biden, I think that's a winning message for Republicans. I liked it. Yeah. But speaking of sports, I was on Newsmax, earlier today, talking about this insane story out of Philadelphia. And I figured I was talking about it on TV. I might as well talk about it on the podcast today too, because it's pretty wild. So Eagles Nations, this is not the Philadelphia Eagles official account, but kind of like the fan page of the Philadelphia Eagles, said a photo of a billboard found in Philly of the Eagles appearing to endorse Kamala Harris is making the rounds on social media. As you can see, it's kind of, for the listening audience, it's the Eagles helmet drawn on this fake, drawn at cartoonish version of Kamala, and it says Kamala, official candidate of the Philadelphia Eagles, philadelphiaeagles.com/vote. So the team has not made any sort of official announcement, and their voting resource website listed on it hasn't been updated since the primary election. Eagles Nation continuing to say, to our knowledge, an NFL team has never and likely is not allowed to endorse a political candidate. This is either fake and someone is using the Eagles branding illegally, or it's an extremely rare, first of its time move. The Eagles then did comment. They said, we are aware counterfeit political ads are being circulated and are working with our advertising partner to have them removed. But please drop a comment with your thoughts on this dilemma. Like I said, it's ongoing, but probably, most likely, hella illegal. But since we last talked on Thursday, there's been more online chatter, speaking of Twitter drama, and there's this internal dispute, I guess I'll call it, between Donald Trump and the pro-life movement. And I heard from a couple of you that you wanted to talk about this, so we're going to talk about it. And I just want to give you a little background information if you're not a super online person. So Trump said 2 things. First, he said he was in favor of voting for an amendment called Amendment 4 in Florida, which permitted abortion up until birth. And he advocated in I believe it was just like a presidential, one of his ramblings. And he was advocating that the federal government be tasked with paying for families' IVF treatments so that more families could be made, which I think the idea was noble there, but I don't know about, there's a lot of pro-lifers who don't like that. And I don't know. I don't want to get into my personal thoughts on IVF. I've seen a lot of very happy families come about from IVF. And emotionally, I think it wouldn't be the best idea to see IVF completely banned, especially when Trump is right. It does provide people with a family who otherwise couldn't have the ability to have children. Like, it's great that we have scientific improvements and whatnot, but there's a lot of nuance to that, probably not worth getting into. What's worth getting into is the way that pro-lifers are saying now that they're not going to vote for Trump because he's somehow insufficiently pro-life, according to them. So I kind of first got introduced to all of this when I was at the RNC, and there weren't a ton of counter protests in terms of like very liberal people. No, the majority of the counter protests to the RNC were actually pro-lifers saying that Republicans are inadequate because for the first time ever, the Republican Party has stopped running on an abortion ban, a total abortion ban on the GOP platform. Now, I'm going to put my thoughts on that to the side. But politically speaking, I think this is just like a good analysis. Politically speaking, it is smart to not run on a federal abortion ban, especially when that's seemingly unattainable, okay? Whether you want that to be the truth or not, whether that upsets you or not, it is almost unattainable, okay? And so I don't think anybody, should fearmonger people into voting for Trump in any way, shape, or form. I don't think pro-lifers need to be, fear-mongered into voting for Trump. I'm okay with them knowing that it's their sole issue is being pro-life, and that's what they want to vote for. Cool. Totally fine with people using their vote however they see fit. But logically speaking, it is not a smart decision if you are a pro-lifer to not support Donald Trump when the margins are razor thin. If this was a different election where, we had tons of time and tons of energy and momentum behind the Republican candidate and a couple of pro-lifers wanted to stay home, whatever. But that's not the case. We are seeing razor thin margins. And in all honesty, pro-lifers are going to see more gains under Donald Trump than under Kamala. I mean, if you want to talk about Kamala's record on all of this, look at no further than what she did under the Biden administration. She pushed face violation acts, so she has been imprisoning with the Biden Department of Justice, imprisoning pro-lifers for praying outside of abortion clinics. She also, while she was the district attorney in California, was prosecuting pro-lifers in California, specifically a pro-life journalist named Daniel Daleiden. So yeah, I don't think that pro-lifers would want to vote for Kamala. I don't think they will. But sometimes you have to realize that voting against somebody is also voting for them, or not voting against somebody. That's what I'm trying to say. If you're voting for Trump, you are also voting against Kamala. And when you're in a two-party system, unfortunately, that is what it comes down to. I did poll the Story Seekers group chat. You all seem to agree with me that pro-lifers are probably bluffing about this, that they're going to make a big stink because they would like to advocate for their policy positions, and cool, more power to them. But they're not actually going to not vote for Trump. And if you don't know what Story Seekers is, if you're new to this community, it's my Instagram broadcast channel. If you just click the description, find my Instagram, go to the Instagram, and then click the Story Seekers button, you can join the community. It's totally free, and it's where I communicate about what you guys want to talk about on this podcast. But let's stop rambling, okay? Let's get into our actual agenda for today. So we have Kamala Harris going full Brazil and threatening to shut down X or Twitter. Going to get into all of that. And by the way, I'm going to call the platform X because that's its name. So we're going to call it by its name. I also want to address the accusations against Tim Walz from his brother Jeff Walz, and the Kamala Harris campaign may be illegally operating a lottery system. Interesting, I know. So without further ado, let's get into the 5 underreported stories that you need to know. So, an old clip of Kamala Harris talking to CNN's Jake Tapper in 2019 resurfaced, saying that she thinks Twitter, before Elon Musk had purchased it, needs to follow the same rules as other social media platforms and censor hate speech or generally just speech that Kamala Harris does not like.
He has lost his privileges and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation, and that has to stop.
Now, this video is getting a lot of circulation because of what happened in Brazil. In case you missed it, X is a platform that runs on free speech absolutism, and the platform was asked to take down specific tweets that the Brazilian government and courts deemed offensive. A quite dictatorial judge, if I could opine for a second, ended up shutting the company down because Elon Musk said he wasn't going to take down people's free speech. And this ultimately is forcing people in Brazil to use VPNs. They're facing fines. They're facing jail time just for using a frickin' social media app. So prominent people on X in America are trying to, I would say, drum up controversy by saying Kamala supports what's happening in Brazil because she said what you just heard back in 2019. Now, I don't think that's an entirely fair analysis. She has flip-flopped on so many issues. And if you're going to run against her on her being a flip-flop, flip-flopping on every position, perhaps this is one of it. So do I think she's flip-flopped on this? No, probably not. Okay. She hates Elon Musk. Elon Musk is financing Donald Trump, so I kind of understand it. And she also hates that Trump has been replatformed. I got to assume this. I can't say that as fact, but I've got to assume she doesn't like that. She hasn't indicated that she's changed her position either, but to insinuate on social media that this is Kamala's current position, it's kind of bullshit. Like, people don't have the time or energy to spend fact-checking these creators, so I see it as like kind of a losery move to manipulate people into thinking that these comments were recent. They are still valid, but I just think it should be noted that they're from 2019. And another reason I think you can intellectually argue that she's in favor of this free speech suppression happening in Brazil is, the Biden administration, very recently, we just officially found all of this out, that the Biden administration asked social media companies like Facebook to suppress information during the 2020 campaign, specifically about Hunter Biden and about COVID. And you know what? They did it. Facebook did it. And Zuckerberg recently admitted in congressional testimony that he regrets this. And you know what? Kamala is part of that administration. She will continue the administration's legacy. So, free messaging tip for Republicans, because I think it's a good one. This is back to my point about, honing in on the fact that she is part of the Biden administration. Just tie her to the Biden administration, okay? And back to my point about being honest about Harris's inconsistency, or all of her inconsistencies. I shouldn't just narrow it down to one. A messaging strategy I think is undeniably working is hitting Harris on her inconsistencies while also being, honest about the timeline of that. So I found this video from Maze Moore on X that showcases Kamala's current claim that she was an attorney general who enforced immigration laws versus 2019 Kamala, who bragged that she told local sheriffs and district attorneys that enforcing immigration laws are optional.
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. And I actually, as Attorney General, informed California law enforcement that ICE detainers are not mandatory. I disagreed with it, and that's why I issued that policy for the sheriffs and the district attorneys of California, telling them that these were not mandatory.
To me, that's a winning strategy. Be honest about what's happening. People will see through the flip-flops themselves. Before we move on from Kamala and onto Tim Walz, I had a story seeker in the group chat ask me to talk about Kamala Harris's proposal to tax unrealized capital gains taxes. This sounds like a very boring subject, but it's all over the news right now, and I figured I might as well just kind of break this down in typical underreported story fashion for you, just so you can feel up to date about everything that's going on. So I've got some assistance from Yahoo Finance. They're not my first choice, but I thought they did a pretty good job of helping me kind of break this down for you. So first, I want to just talk about what the proposal is and what unrealized capital gains taxes are. So it's you have to pay money on your unrealized gains. So effectively, kind of I don't know how to describe it other than money that you theoretically may have. So you don't actually have it physically, but it's in real estate or in portfolios or like stock market gains that you don't actually have. Yeah, you don't physically have it, right? And so this is going to impact probably, it says most recently, the Biden administration proposed an unrealized capital gains tax for those with a net worth over $100 million. So like I said, this isn't necessarily affecting like millions of Americans. This is on average could possibly affect around 11,000 people in the US, according to estimates. This puts it into like a really succinct way. Capital gains are imposed on a sold item. Unrealized capital gains are unsold items, potential, just kind of like stocks, real estate, things like that, that you don't actually physically have the assets for, but one day you could, right? And now what I think is just very important is, yes, this feels like beyond socialism. I totally get it. But this is so unlikely to pass that when right-wing news outlets talk about this, it is a little annoying because it's just so unlikely to pass when they, quote, fearmonger about abortion being legal up until the moment of birth. That is valid. Like, that is actually possibly happening. This actually passing the House, the Senate, and getting a red or a stamp of approval from the president is so not going to happen. It's crazy. Like, you can agree or disagree, with the capital gains tax in general. You can actually even make a slippery slope argument for this, that if, they do pass this, then they're going to pass it for people with a net worth less than 100 million and lower and lower. And then we're all going to have to be paying unrealized capital gains tax. No matter what, though, no matter how much you disagree with this, you would have to admit that it would be virtually impossible to implement this, okay? So is it a good idea? No, I think it's hellish. I think it's socialistic. I think it's dumb. But I also am going to level with you guys. This doesn't raise a ton of red flags for me. This has been on the Biden administration's agenda for a long time. Kamala stands to continue implementing it. I just don't see it to be that big of a problem in the grand scheme of all the policy agenda items that the Biden administration, and by extension the Kamala administration, would want to push. But thank you, Mark. I believe it was Mark. Yep. Thank you, Mark, for that question. I think we all got a little smarter from learning about that once I finally was able to find quality definition for unrealized capital gains. But anyway, let's move on to our next story. So you've probably already heard this, but it's pretty crazy. Tim Walz's older brother put out a statement on Facebook indicating that he may endorse President Trump over his own brother. So Tim Walz is the Democrats' VP pick, and his brother, Jeff Walz, said he doesn't think his brother has the proper demeanor to be vice president. Getting some assistance from the New York Post, it says Tim Walz's older brother is 100% opposed to his ideology and does not see or believe that his brother is the type of character who should make decisions about America's future. In a Facebook post, Jeff Walz, Tim's brother, said, "I'm 100% opposed to all his ideology. He has so little faith in his brother. Jeff Walz is considering publicly endorsing Donald Trump's White House run," he said in a Facebook poster that urged him to, quote, "get on stage with President Trump and endorse him. I've thought long and hard about doing something like that. I'm torn between that and just keeping my family out of it," the individual said. Tim Walz's brother said, "The stories I could tell, not the type of character you want making decisions about your future." Besides Jeff, Tim Walz, 60, has a sister named Sandy Dietrich who lives in Nebraska, and that's where the Walz all grew up, by the way. He also has another brother, Craig Walz, 44, who unfortunately passed away when a tree fell on him during a storm. That's so sad. Jeff and Tim Walz have not spoken in 8 years, which I will get to my thoughts on that. And the governor, who has fudged details about his military career and who delayed calling out the National Guard even as the state burned, didn't bother to let his older brother know that he was picked as his... Wait, what? That's crazy. Wait, my family wasn't even given any notice that he was selected. Wow, that's crazy. So Jeff Walz's feeling about his younger brother came to light after Laura Loomer discovered a Facebook post he wrote back in March of 2023 when he says, quote, "We've become a third world banana republic." The FEC records show that Jeff Walz also donated $20 to Trump's 2016 campaign. Jeff Walz told the Post on Saturday that he is not doing interviews at the time. Part of me feels like this is yucky. Like, don't betray your family, right? But then there's another part of me that thinks, like, this is your duty. And it must be really bad if your own family is speaking out. But then again, you know, Mary Trump wrote books on how she's pro-Biden and how much she hates Donald Trump. And that didn't mean anything to anybody. It didn't have any impact at all on anything. There wasn't anybody that was like, yeah, I love Donald Trump. I'm a huge MAGA Republican. Oh, but Mary Trump now said bad things about him from his past. I'm no longer going to vote for him. I just don't see that really having much of an impact. I don't know. I think if I was advising, let's just put myself in like a role where I'm advising Jeff Walz, I'd advise him to keep his mouth shut. It's just not weird, or it's just not nice. Yeah, it's weird. It's not nice. And these people aren't even close. It's been like 8 years. And I think that also makes it less impactful. So, I personally couldn't imagine doing this to my sibling. No matter what went down between me and my sister, I could never do that. I actually think with the underreported story here, it's how Tim and Jeff have such a horrible relationship. And I think that speaks volumes, maybe not about Jeff, but about Tim. It also speaks volumes about divisive politics, because note that it says 8 years. What was happening 8 years ago? Trump kind of entered the scene. And not that that's Trump's fault. I just think it speaks volumes about, you know, how divisive politics can ruin families and relationships. And I don't know, just don't be like this. Like, let this story be a warning to those seeking power. It comes with a price. I would not personally be willing to pay that price, because that sounds awful, to lose your family in the quest for power. It's awful. Anyway, if you guys are liking today's show, would you do me a favor, and if you're watching this on the video, give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Rumble, or X. If you're in the listening audience, would you be sure to rate this podcast with 5 stars and leave a review on how Underreported Stories has impacted you. It goes a long way in boosting the show in the algorithm, so thank you very, very much. All right, moving on to our third story. Over the weekend, I saw one of the dumbest, it's taking everything in me to not say the R word, because that's what it is. It's an R word article passed off as journalism. So the Associated Press wrote an article asking whether Republicans could handle that J.D. Vance's wife is Hindu. This article reads, is Usha Vance's Hindu identity an asset or a liability to the Trump-Vance campaign? The author is Deepa Barth. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Fuck it. Okay. Usha Vance loves her meat and potatoes husband, J.D. Vance. She explained to a rapt RNC audience how their vice presidential candidate adapted to her vegetarian diet and even learned to cook Indian food from her immigrant mother. That image of her white Christian husband making the spicy cuisine of her parents' native state in South India is atypical for the leaders of a party whose members are still largely white and Christian. Okay, no. Really, that is such a stereotype. Her presence at the RNC sparked enthusiasm on social media among some Indian American conservatives, particularly Hindu Americans, although the most Indian Americans identify as Democrats. But for all Usha Vance shared about her identity-blending marriage in her speech last month in Milwaukee, which is not about, this is so stupid. She goes on to say, which her speech was like 4 minutes, and she made no mention of her Hindu upbringing or her personal faith, because she's not there to fucking talk about herself. She's there to fucking talk about her husband, who just got nominated as the vice president. She's there to bump up her husband, not push her religious worldview on the RNC. She's there to be liked. Oh my gosh, she's going to talk about her husband because personal relationships make you likable. Deepa, you dumb bitch. It goes on to say that image of her white Christian husband making the spicy cuisine. Wait, there's stupid frickin' advertisements are popping up of Kamala. Says, while some political analysts say her strong presence as a Hindu American still makes the community proud, others question whether the Republican Party is really ready for a Hindu second lady. How the fuck does that pass as thoughtful journalism nowadays? You cannot possibly write an article this stupid if you don't live with your head up your own fucking ass. Deepa, whatever her name was. Please. This is so ridiculous, because Democrats have this, she has to be a Democrat. That's literally the only way that you could write such a stupid article. She says, she essentially views it the way that all Democrats do. Most Democrats, I should say, view Republicans as regressive for not liking forced diversity, and then they equate that dislike of forced diversity / affirmative action / belittling people based on their race with racism. No, that's not reality. Come out into the middle of the country. Come talk to us. We like diversity of thought. We don't care about people's skin colors. We are anti-affirmative action, okay? Which is actually less racist. We believe that people can do the work, put in the effort, and be successful because of that. If you actually listen to Republicans talk, instead of trying to play gotcha journalism with everything a Republican says, then it would be physically impossible to write such a garbage sack of words. I'm just like in shock, guys. I'm in shock that this is our America, that this is like really what we call journalism. And I'm forming this thought in my mind right now. And I know you have to know I'm kidding when I say this. But maybe we should donate to these newsrooms. Because if these dumbasses had a travel budget, which they don't because they don't have a viewership. So maybe if they had a travel budget, they could get out of their New York City studio apartments. They could come to real America and not be so freaked out by people just with different thoughts than them. Just an idea. But no. Actually, you shouldn't support these loser journalists. You should support journalists like myself who do hard work to bring you underreported stories for free. So if you love my show, the best way to support it is by purchasing from my apparel line, Based. If you don't know what Based is the opposite of woke, okay? You're based in logic, you're based in facts, you're based in truth, you're based in logic, people, okay? You're just based, just like this show. So if you head over to basedinlogicapparel.com, you can get a hat which supports this show. Be sure to tag me on Instagram when you get your merch. Okay. Fourth story. The show is just flying by. An estimated 75%, I almost said 45, like, can I read numbers? An estimated 75% of people being arrested in Midtown Manhattan in just the past few months have been illegal immigrants. The crimes they're being taken in for include assault, robbery, and domestic violence. The New York Post has an exclusive report for us detailing all of this. This article reads, across New York, recently arrived migrants are flooding the criminal justice system at far higher rates than public officials have acknowledged. Police sources told the New York Post that there's an estimate of as many as 75% of the people that they've been arresting in Midtown Manhattan in the last few months are for crimes like assault, robbery, and domestic violence, and they are all coming from illegal immigrants. In parts of Queens, which is this a little bit more conservative estimate, the figure is more than 60%. Oh my gosh. On any given day, Big Apple Criminal Court, you gotta love the New York Post for all their funny ways of twisting words. But these courts are packed with asylum seekers who have run afoul of the law. Now, what's making this problem worse is the fact that there are sanctuary city laws in place in New York. And a lot of the ire will typically be directed at New York City's mayor, Eric Adams, but it's actually contingent on the city council to change those rules. So sanctuary cities allow illegal immigrants to not get in trouble or have their immigration status questioned when they are kind of run into police officers, whether it just be like a stop and or like a violation of any sort, whether it be small or big, basically is what I'm trying to say. So the New York Police Department says it is barred from tracking the immigration status of people that break the law. And there are a lot of people out there, specifically a veteran former prosecutor in the district attorney's office, said that New York City is eliminating tools to get rid of these violent criminals because of their sanctuary city laws. Making matters worse, police say word has gotten out in the illegal migrant shelters about the city's lax bail guidelines, meaning migrants know that they're going to get kicked back out on the streets quickly after they are apprehended. A City Hall spokesman pointed to Mayor Eric Adams' previous call for the city council to change sanctuary cities laws. So yes, he is advocating that the city go and change sanctuary cities laws because he says that the city in and of itself cannot coordinate with ICE. They have to follow the law, and the law is shit. So we officially know that a majority of crimes in New York, or pockets of New York City, I should say, are being committed by a relatively small part of the population of the United States. It is small, but a very growing group of people. And I just think that this is a recipe for disaster, right? We saw a crazy story, which if you haven't already checked out my video on this, it's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, it's on X, and it's worth your time. There is a Venezuelan prison gang called Tren de Aragua, and they have infiltrated Aurora, Colorado, which is a metro Denver area city, where they have overtaken apartment complexes and I wouldn't say entire apartment complexes. I really dive into it in the video, but definitely pockets and vacant apartment units with firearms. It's freaking nuts. And just the last week, we saw a group of 20 male illegal immigrants attempt to enter a California school bus that was picking up kids. These migrants literally ran at a bunch of 8-year-olds heading to elementary school. And then in New York, we also saw that the city is approving the development of an all-male migrant shelter less than 1,000 feet from a private K-12 Christian school. The parents there are pissed off, obviously, and the city is bypassing all of these different protocols because the migrant crisis is just swelling in New York City. And just cherry on top here, New York has spent $1.45 billion on illegal immigrants in 2023 alone. This is a legitimate crisis. And I've just part of me feels heavy because I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I stop this? I'm so irritated at this, but I just have to know my place in this world. And I can't do anything other than just report these facts to you and just encourage you all to share videos like this with people in your community and family. Okay, we got to move on. Let's get on to our final story. Very excited for this one because it made me laugh. So an alleged nonpartisan voter organization is reportedly being hella partisan. So much for nonpartisan. So shocked. I'm so shocked by this. So dumb. Okay, so details. Details, Chrissy. The Voter Participation Center, which is the organization, they put out information on how to register to vote. And according to a new report from the Washington Free Beacon, the Voter Participation Center is purposefully not promoting their campaign to people who like the PGA Tour, Duck Dynasty, the Indy 500, and the Daytona 500. All interests common among Republican men. Nothing I can say can quite hit this article like reading it. It's so funny. Andrew Kerr is the author, and he said, "Do you like NASCAR? This nonpartisan voter registration group doesn't want to help you." It's so funny. It goes on to say, "Do you live in a swing state? If so, the Voter Participation Center is spending big on Facebook ads to ensure you have the information you need to cast a ballot in the upcoming election. That is, unless you like NASCAR, golf, Jeeps, or other interests and hobbies typically associated with Republican men. In that case, the Voter Participation Center does not want to share information that might help you get to the polls." The VPC, as I'm going to call it, is, like I said, a nonpartisan charity that claims to have helped more than 6 million people register to vote since its inception in 2003. The group's claim to be nonpartisan is important because the IRS is clear that charities, beneficiaries of generous tax exemptions, can only engage in voter registration drives in a neutral, nonpartisan manner. The IRS clearly prohibits charities from engaging in voter registration activities in a manner that favors a candidate or political party. So here's what they do. The Facebook ad library data indicates the Voter Participation Center's ad campaign is deployed with partisan intent. The group has instructed Facebook to exclude from the search of its ads anyone with expressed interest in 26 categories typically associated with Republican men, including the PGA Tour, the Indy 500, the Daytona 500, Tom Clancy, modified Jeeps, Duck Dynasty, and more. The Voter Participation Center has spent more than $760,000 on a staggering 8,235 Facebook ads over the last 90 days in swing states like Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, PA, North Carolina, and Georgia. What's really funny is that the Voter Participation Center did instruct Facebook to ensure its ads target audiences interested in African American literature, Jordan Peele, Taylor Swift, Patagonia, and hot yoga. Stereotyping much? It very well could be a violation of the organization's 501c3 or charity status. So they are legally in a very dicey situation. We'll see if the IRS is interested in pursuing action against this group, though I highly doubt it in our politicized bureaucracy. But speaking of a potential illegal scheme, I was making breakfast this morning and came across this TikTok from a creator who believes Kamala Harris's campaign may be running an illegal lottery. So basically the campaign is asking for people to donate $25 for the chance to win a picture with Kamala and Tim Walz. And a lottery can only be operated by states. So it would be illegal for a campaign to operate a lottery. The campaign would only be able to operate a sweepstakes. So I'm gonna let this creator explain what is happening here.
Hi, Kamala and Tim. You guys sent me an email that you guys would love to take a picture with me and take a selfie, and all I have to do is contribute $25 odd to your campaign. Now, I don't exactly know how you got my email, but that's fine. That's neither here nor there. What I found interesting about this email is how close it sounds to a lottery. If I spend $25 or more, I have a chance to win something. And of course, you guys are well aware that lotteries have to be able to be entered for free. You guys have that. There's no purchase necessary to enter said sweepstakes. And all I have to do is click here to enter without paying. So I went and I checked, and that page does not exist. So you are running an illegal lottery. Now, I'm sure you two would never intentionally break the law, but requiring someone to pay to be considered for a chance to win a prize that you guys value at $3,000 is the definition of an illegal lottery and a felony. That page has been unavailable for at least 3 days, if not longer. That's at least how long I've been personally tracking this. But since your super PACs continue to so diligently market this promotion, I wanted to make sure to bring it to your guys' attention directly. Also, this message is in no way politically motivated. I equally hate everybody. But openly running an illegal lottery to potential donors and voters is not going to get you in the White House come November 5th.
To clarify, a lottery includes these 3 elements: chance, prize, and consideration. So in this example, you have a chance to win a picture with them, a prize, which is also the picture, and you will be additionally considered for this opportunity if you donate $25 to the campaign. To operate a sweepstakes, which is totally fine, the campaign would have had to eliminate either chance, prize, or consideration. But I don't think they did. And that is considered a Class E felony and could elicit a $50,000 penalty if Kamala Harris's campaign actually engaged in this. That would be rough. Yeah, I know. But before we wrap up today, I promised to keep you all updated on my journey applying for the Kamala Harris campaign. If you guys are new to the program and you don't know this about me, I jokingly applied to the Kamala Harris campaign. So now that I did it, I kind of want to get an interview because I just think it would be funny. So I made a video today updating you all on my journey with my new dream job. This video is for the Kamala campaign. If you are not the Kamala campaign, you can keep scrolling. Hi Kamala HQ, I'm Chrissy. I applied for a position with your campaign and I still haven't heard back. And so I just wanted to show you some reasons why you should hire me. I was walking down the street and I saw the Harris Walz obviously sign. I see it everywhere in my neighborhood. And so I figured I want to show off my digital design skills to the campaign, so I've made some new signs just for you. This one says no policies, just vibes, obviously. Because it's really hard for voters to understand complex political issues, and I just want the voters to know that at Kamala HQ, we don't have any policies, no complex issues. This should just be vibes only. This next one I think will really help us with different voter demographics. I know it says illegals for Kamala, but it doesn't just have to be illegal immigrants. It could be people who illegally sell drugs. It could be people who illegally squat in random people's homes. And to my same point about bringing in a new voter base, when I was filling out your campaign application, I decided that my pronouns were gonna be here, and so I made a bunch of different pronoun signs so that people will know, what your pronouns are, and you can show that you have those pronouns and you're for Kamala, obviously. The only bummer is I put these yard signs up, but I don't have a yard because I can't afford down payment in this economy. But dang it, I just really hope to hear back from the Kamala campaign. Okay, I know I'm an idiot. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Anyway, if you're a real one and you made it to the end of the show, will you drop the eagle emoji to harken back to the beginning of the show when we talked about those fake Eagles ads? As a heads up, I'm going on a bachelorette trip this week. So Thursday's podcast, it's already recorded. It's freaking hilarious. It's with a guest. I'm not going to tell you who. And we're going to be talking about underreported stories, football, a lot of weird random comedy, me allegedly stabbing someone. Just, I can't even get into it. I'll let you guys enjoy. We'll chat live on Thursday. I'll see you here next time. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment about how beautiful, stunning, and funny I am. And if you want more content based in logic, be sure to click over here for more videos and clips of my show. If you have the means to financially support the show, consider purchasing from my merch line, Based Apparel, linked right below. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends.